Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to cut and sew this beautiful gown. The first thing we are going to do is to draw a starting line. Go over and insert your bust points under bust and your waist measurement. Then draw the line. Then go over and insert your bust palm. My own bust palm is 8 divided by 2, that's 4. That's what I'm doing here. And I went over to mark my shoulder measurement, which is 16. Then my neck dip, I'm using 3/3 as my neck width. From your bust point, come up by 1.5 for your armhole. Then you connect it to the shoulder. For the shoulder slope, come down from the shoulder by 1 inch and draw a line connecting it to the neck dip, like what I'm doing at the moment. Remember, the front armhole is always different from the back armhole, so you mark the midpoint between that line and come out by ½ inches. Then connect your line from the shoulder to meet with the armhole line, like seen. Go ahead and label each line so that you won't be confused as seen. I'm going to be contouring my bust area. To contour your bust area, come down from the bust point by 1 inches. Then at the under bust, you come out by ½ inches and 1 inches, like I'm doing now. I'm using a darting of 1.5 inches, so please just follow me. You understand. Draw your lines to meet with the 1 inch we came down from at the bust point, like this. Connect the line to meet with the armhole, like this. Go over and insert your bust measurements and waist measurements. Then replace the 1.5 that allowance we used and on it, and then put back your 2 inches allowance and connect your line to the armhole. So to tighten my armhole that, I went ahead and I came up by ½ inch again and connect my line like what that I'm doing, and then draw it to meet with the armhole. Go ahead and cut out your pattern, and then please note for the back pattern I didn't put it here because I actually cut it directly on my fabric and it wasn't showing, the video wasn't showing, so I actually used a normal back pattern with only that at the waist. I didn't do princess that for the back. So I came down by 1.5 from my bust point to take out my under bust darts because the front part is always longer because of the boobs than the back part of your dress. So that's what I'm doing to make sure the sizes are equal. So for the skirt pattern, the first thing I did was to mark out my basic skirt measurements on my pattern paper, adding my allowance of 2 inches on the waist and on the hip. Note the gown we are working on is an A-line gown, so our skirt pattern is going to be A-line, not straight. Please go ahead and cut up your pattern. I had to change this front pattern to the back pattern because I remember the front pattern is going to be on fold, so I left this one to be used at the back pattern with indication of 1.3 for zipper for anyone asking. So remember to put your pattern paper on fold while cutting for the front, because at the front is where we are going to have our drape. So yeah, just look at what I'm doing and follow me. So the drape is going to come from the left side of the dress. I've labeled my pattern so that I will not get confused, and then I went ahead to draw my lines that I'm going to use for splash and spray. For the splash and spray, I kept 3 inches allowance for my lines, which I later changed it to 1.5 because I found that my material won't be enough for the whole splash and spray. So from this video, you will notice I had changed my lines to 1.5 at the end of the day. So you can use 3, you can use 1.5, depending how pronounced you want your drape to be, and also depending on your fabric. Go ahead and draw your lines, then cut them open as seen. For me, I actually transferred my pattern directly to my fabric, but for some new beginners on my YouTube channel, you can do yours on your pattern paper if you are not conversant with it, adding inches allowance between them to know where to drape from. But I'm conversant with my pattern and I've done
things like this over and over for some clients. So that was why I'm able to just transfer it directly to my fabric to just save the time. In between those splash and spread lines, I kept 1.5 inches in between them for my drape, and I pinned them down. So I went over to just add half-inch allowance from where I splash and spread them, so that I'll be able to maneuver with it if there's any shortage. So after that, I went ahead to cut up my pattern like what I'm doing. Go ahead and notch your fabric to know where to drape from. For the back pattern, you could see I've already added out my 1.3 inches for my zipper, and then at the waist you could see I left a space there because I want to add a dart at the waist part of my skirt, but that dart is optional. Here is the picture of what it looks like on my client. Watch out for part 2 for the short collar.